Hello there, guys. And so you might have noticed that we're on my channel rather than all of these interviews are going to be over on the Become a Living God. And I decided it might be more apt, more applicable, better for all of us if we had some of these energy interviews of spirit on my side of the channel, and then some will still go on Bog depending on the subject area. But I want this one on mine because it's Miss Laura Daligan and I love her, so I'm being selfish.
I love you too.
So thank you for coming back and chatting with me today. It's
always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure and an honor and a privilege and all that good shiz. So,
yeah, and we are winning at headdresses today. So.
Yeah, that's what we're calling it, like March of the Headbands or something.
Yeah.
We did this completely by accident, by the way. We both just showed up with
you do win. You do win on the headband front, but
I don't know. You've got a spring feel. I've got kind of like my stars, and you've got spring feels. So
that's awesome. Yes.
So the whole point in these interviews is to basically talk to authentic, empowering, amazing individuals who walk their spiritual path and really embody it, I guess. And they just love what they do, and they ripple effect that out, I guess, into the world. And I think when people say Laura Daligan, they know who you are. They know your beautiful art style. They'll have seen you associated with the Glastonbury and some of the magazines that come out there, and the fairy and the fire dancing.
Yeah.
And these are all elements, presumably, that you just love as part of your spirituality, and you kind of really embody that. I mean, has that always been the case? Or do you think that kind of gets built up over time, and then you get to a point where you're just like, this is who I am, so...
Yeah, I've always tried for it to be the case, but it hasn't always been the case. And I think when it wasn't the case, you can't quite put your finger on why you're down, or your energy's really low, you're depressed or whatever. But it was because you're trying to be something you're not. And of course, this is what the universe is telling you, not the universe, sorry, but our little world is telling us that you need to fit into this box. And I never tried really hard, to be fair. I played at fitting in a box. That didn't work. And it's I've always noticed that when I follow my heart, which is my spirituality, which is the things that I love, everything, touch wood, generally works out. And when I try to rein it in or be logical, it goes tits up.
Mm-hmm. I get it.
It has been something that has grown over years. And I'm really blessed with that, but it has been a work of building over years, and just realizing that the more authentically you follow your path, the more you really truly embody your spirituality in any way that it feels right for you. Mm-hmm. Not saying it's easy, because it might look easy from Facebook, and it might look easy. It isn't, because because there's not a day off. There's not a reliable thing. There's not the sometimes people with normal jobs seems really quite appealing because they can just chill out sometimes. But I'd never go there, because it's just not me. But it may look easy from the outside, and in some ways it is, and in some ways it really isn't. So. But there's no choice, I don't think. It's like you could be a wilting flower and try and rein back, or just go for it and trust. And it's adventure in that way, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely not as easy as people seem to think it is.
I know, people think I've got a really easy life. I'm like, yeah!
No! I think people who are like, oh, you just work on YouTube and you just create like items and it's like, guys, sometimes we work 7-day weeks, technically 8-day weeks, because we're up later than everybody else, and we're constantly working. And on the one hand, it's a joy because you want to do it, you love it, this is what you're here to do, and you're not apologetic for it, hopefully.
Nope.
But on the other hand, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm burning out, I need a day off.
Yeah, absolutely. Or holiday, like normal people have.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a price to pay, I think, as well. I don't mind it. I do mind a bit sometimes, but I really don't mind it, because it's an interesting thing that everything I love seems to become part of this. I don't say job, but becomes part of the body of stuff that I do, which is a lovely thing. But then sometimes I have to do things that are for myself and not for everybody else, which is a balance. But it's a lovely thing, and I'm really honoured. And it's something that has grown. Especially since I've been to Glastonbury, it's become more clear, I think, that this is Kind of it, but I'm quite shy sometimes, so it can be quite hard because you're kind of living the thing that you're putting out there. So I just want to hide away for a long while, sometimes, which I kind of have done this winter a little bit. But yeah.
It's been that kind of winter though, hasn't it?
It really has. It has.
Do you think the Glastonbury and the location you live in helps you to live this life? Like the energy of the land around you, do you think that really helps add to the living in that spiritual vibe? Because Glastonbury's kind of on board, I guess, is the best way of putting it. They have your temple and the witchy shops and things, so people are it's more out in the open maybe than it is some places in the world, for sure.
Absolutely. I take for granted on one level that everybody here obviously knows their stuff and is on board, and it's a bit of a bubble, and I'm really glad this bubble exists, that where you celebrate, the whole town will know it's Beltane, the whole town will know it's full moon, and that's lovely, and I love the bubble that exists in. However, the energy living in town, so I lived outside of town for a couple of years, 4 years, and I've moved into town the last 6 months. And I know people say now, town is not an easy place to live. I don't think people were meant to live right in the nexus of Glastonbury. It's a temple place. It's a gateway to the underworld with the White Spring. Mm-hmm. It is a place of ritual and ceremony. And you're trying to do a normal life and pay taxes as well. It's really hard. People lose the plot here on a regular basis. It's like a Glastonbury meltdown. Everyone has them. And I realise, we've talked about this a bit, that it's you're holding energy when you're here. And it's... So even one way that's easier, because you rush through stuff, you do the work, and you are in the space. But to live and to be grounded and to be a normal functioning human being, I've found is quite a challenge.
Glastonbury troubles.
It is
living in permanent, like, spiritual up here.
I know, I've got ley line altitude sickness or something.
That's amazing.
But I could feel it. I could feel when I moved to this house, which is right in town. I could feel when I moved in my new bedroom, I was like, whoosh, there's a ley line, whoosh, you know. And I got my dowsing rods out and they went, whoosh. I was like, yeah, I thought so. And then I live at the bottom of a hill and there's the Tor. And it's just like you can feel the energy going from the Tor down and down to where I am, which is epic. But it's also, you just feel like people come here to heal. They come here to, they ditch their stuff here. They're feeling great. I'm like, you've left your stuff here.
Yeah.
You've left all your stuff. I've got to clear it up.
Yeah, go around with that cleansing after people have been.
Yeah.
Like, off my doorstep.
I know. You've skipped off, healed your chakras, I'm clear. You know, it is sort of that kind of thing, which is funny, but also a bit weird. You know, it's a bit intense sometimes. But I'm not complaining. It is like a different thing to live in. I guess lots of places with energy centers are like that, but this place, because everyone also is very focused on it, and there's a lot of workshops, and people come here and people go, oh yeah, I just opened a portal. Thanks, don't.
Yeah. We have to live here. Yeah.
Oh, leave your portals where you live, love.
Right, wow, gosh.
So yeah, I mean, in one way it's like woo, and in the other way it's like wah. That's my description of in Glastonbury. Woo
and wah. There you go. You heard it here first, guys. Woo and wah, living in Glastonbury.
It's a biography.
Yeah. That should be on like your tombstone. I lived in Glastonbury. It was woo and wah.
And it ended in Anyway, yes.
So what would you advise to people who are trying to live this authentic life and they're finding they come across a lot of resistance, because usually from outside sources, so be it family or be it other people who are trying to discourage them in one fashion or another, because there's been a lot of people talking about that lately, and unfortunately the atmosphere and the kind of like the stratosphere is a bit icky right now with that kind of conversation going on a lot. So how would you suggest to people, if they come across that or they're feeling kind of battered down by that, how would you deal with that, or how would you suggest they deal with it?
I think the only thing I've come across really is to deeply trust yourself, and it's easier said than done, but I often find that especially a sensitive person, obviously people attracted to this path are empaths or sensitive or open, and they're going to be affected and battered around by other people's opinions a lot, and the feeling is, you know what's right deep down, and it's kind of building the boundaries within yourself to keep your sacred space within sacred, and to keep everyone else's opinions, which in a way maybe we've attracted because we don't, maybe we've attracted them, maybe not. Maybe the challenges, maybe they're just being assholes. I'm not all about you've brought these in, but sometimes we kind of maybe it's just something we have to work through, but sometimes people are just being idiots. And it's just keeping that sacred space. Boundaries is so important, that actually what is important to you must be put first. And we don't, especially in this country, we're like, oh no, couldn't possibly, blah, blah, blah. But I just have noticed how important it is to have that altar and that sacred inside yourself. And that is non-negotiable. That is sacred. You have to talk to other people. This is you first, and your sacred spirituality first, held and safe and not guarded, but just nurtured.
Yeah.
And that your boundaries with the people are clear. And that's not attacking or being rude. Maybe just not talking to them if that's not what's going to be helpful for you. But that you shouldn't, I know so I'm just doing it myself, sometimes I may give away and end up really confused and thinking, well, why am I not trusting myself? I've just noticed that if you trust what is in here and trust what's in here, and I don't mean guard that and defend it, but honour it and put that like a rigid sacred flame, keep it burning with the priestesses around it, no matter what. That is, you don't have to advertise it, you don't have to talk to people about it if you don't want. And I would advise, in a way, until that is really awesomely powerful in you, don't talk to people about it. And then it will shine and it will be within you. And you'll find maybe people may adjust their opinions towards you, or you'll know just how to go, oi, out of my space in that way. Maybe don't get involved in internet arguments while you're doing that as well, because that could be really hard as well.
Yeah, when I was first starting, when I was first reading around the books that became available after a certain part in my path, because I'd always been kind of in it and practicing without realizing, and then when I kind of realized into my late teens and I started reading about it, I came across a situation where I knew a guy who was atheist, and he was aggressively atheist, and he was like, right, what is this thing you're doing? Explain it to me. And I was like, I'm not in a point where I'm ready to explain it to you. Like, I'm figuring it out for myself. At the time, the main bulk of the books that were available were Wicca, and there are elements of Wicca that I still think are beautiful and really helped open me up to the rest of my path. And that's what was available. That was like the gateway at the time. But it was so confrontational, and I was just like, I don't have all the answers to give you. No. And I feel like even at this point in our path, we don't have all the answers to give people. And we may never have all the answers to give people. It's highly individual, which I try and talk about as much as possible. I can give you my thoughts and my feelings and my opinions, but that's all that it is at the end of the day. But with regards to people who come at you for living in whichever way you want, I think it's best to try and look beyond what they're saying and see whether or not it's coming from a place of fear with them, because half of the time it's that they wish they could live the way that you're living for themselves. It might not be the exact same, it might not be the exact same art, for example, but it might be that freedom. And they feel kind of trapped and locked into 9 to 5 and the mortgage and all the rest of it, and it can get to people. It can seriously get to people. But I was the same. Like I never, well, I did, and I originally was going to be a lawyer, and then I went through a whole lot of changes, and I came out the other side, and I was just like, I'm not the same person anymore, and I want to help people, which I always wanted to do. And I thought I would help people being a lawyer, and I came into the lawyer atmosphere in the lawyer world, and that's not what 90% of the people who are there for. I'll tell you that from the inside out. It was not a nice environment. And so I just went through a metamorphosis. I went through a shift. Plus 9 to 5 would drive me crazy. I'm the kind of person where if I don't care about it, it's a chore. Like it's a real, I don't want to do it. I used to work in like shops and things as I went up through uni, and I didn't want to do that. And I would wake up every day like, I don't want to go. I don't want to do it. But whereas when I'm doing something that I really truly love and I feel is authentic to myself, I'm doing that all the time, and I have to remind myself to stop.
Yes.
So I think really it's about encapturing the energy of who you are, which you touched on. And it's like, if once you really truly feel that, you kind of have to remember that the world actually needs more of that.
Oh God, yeah. And the more you're in tune with it, the more you'll know what feels right for you and what doesn't. It's crystal clear. You may not be able to go, so do you leaving my job straight away? You know, that might, I know, but you'll be, the more you honour what's right for you, the more clear it's going to be. There'll be no more confusion. You'll know, okay, well, it's not right for me in the job. Let me work on ways of shifting that, and it will start to change. And also, what you were saying, people having a go at you. I feel like as pagans, we feel we have to be nice, and as women, we feel we have to explain ourselves, and we have to do neither. Like we have to explain ourselves. No, we don't. If people, we don't have to answer people. I think people go, "What are you doing? What's that all about?" You don't have to answer, and don't feel threatened or intimidated that you have to explain it in a nice way. I always feel with paganism we have to say, oh, it's nice, because people come up going, you're evil, kind of thing. And I'm so exhausted by the most unevil lot of people that have killed the least amount of people of all the spiritualities in the world, have to constantly say, it's okay, we're nice really, to people. It's just like exhausting. So I think you don't have to say anything, and don't feel pressurized to answer people's questions or yeah.
We definitely live in a world which is encouraging people to be apologetic right now, and to conform, which is something that I've been talking about. Like, I've been doubling down recently. Like, no, if you're going to tell us we have to be this, I'm going to go 100% in the other direction and just be me as much as possible.
Yes.
And it's really frightening in some ways, and it's really disappointing in others, and it can be a real drag. Then it's just like you're constantly feeling that you need to justify who you are, how you practice, the way your thought patterns work. And it sort of gets ridiculous, because there are people who come at me for my voice and all sorts of things, and it's like,
what? Your voice?
Yeah. I've had a number of people claim that I fake my accent.
Yeah, I've always thought that.
I have over 2,000. Is it over 2,000? It's a lot of videos.
You're an expert. You should at least change your voice once in a while.
I just come on one day and be like, like, this is my real voice. Or something. No, but the thing is people are always going to come at you for no matter what. No matter who you are, no matter what it is that you do, unfortunately, some people are going to come at you for what you love.
Yeah.
Because when people are passionate about things, and when people love what they do, and when people invest in it, like, for some reason, some people take it the wrong way. People get very, like, aggressive, very
jealous.
There's a jealousy and a standoffishness sometimes as well.
I think so. And you're saying it's like, I've done a lot of readings with people recently as well, where there's similar, not that anyone's stories, but it's like a similar theme. It's particularly with women, though I'm sure it could be with men as well, where there's this amazing powerhouse of a person that I'm reading for, and they have lives and lives and wisdom, and either from a relationship situation or world situation, they're just belittling themselves over and over, and then get confused. And I'm just the readings going, do you know what's inside of you? And they do. And it's like we don't trust ourselves, or we trust other people's opinions of us, or maybe relationships or family or work, over the exceptional awesome we have inside of us that we came here to do. And as you say, it's scary to do it. It's scary to step into light, because, as you say, people then go, oh, they're standing up, but
you're a target.
You're a target. But I think if you don't, you're going to be a target in other ways, because you're kind of hovering on the sidelines and not really in the, I don't want to be on my gravestone which goes wow wow going, why was I hovering? Like, why
no hover.
No hover. And yeah, I think as you said, the world does need people really truly shining their light, and it may mean some people bitch about you or don't like you because it triggers them, because either they haven't done that themselves yet, or they feel, as you said earlier, they wish they could, but blah de blah de blah. But if we all stay down because of that, then it'd be a very miserable place. And there's so many people, especially at the moment around, they've got so much light and power inside of them. It may be hard to see how you can do it in the current world. But again, when I've been logical about things, it's never worked out. When I've just gone, this is here, I'm going to go with it, it's so far always had some really epic results. So
I find that too. I've said in the past, like, if I try and plan like huge amounts of time in advance, it will blow up in my face every single time. Like, if I try and plan like a 5-year plan,
gosh,
it blows up. And I've just gotten to the point now where I kind of go with the energy of what's happening and adapt. And have a generalized idea of what I want to do and know what it is that I love to do, and refuse to back down on the things that I do love to do, and then kind of expand from that point. So it kind of, I've become like a river of a person more than a planner. It's a really strange thing for
for Virgo. That must be hard.
Yes and no, because I've always been a bit of a chaos Virgo. So whether people know this or not, they probably do if you're on my channel. Like, my top signs are all earth signs.
Yeah.
So I'm a Virgo with a Virgo rising and a Taurus moon. So on the surface of it, I should be like the most planning, stubborn person on the planet, but I'm not. I hate it. Like, I hate structure like that. It's where creativity goes to die in my head.
Yeah.
So, but underneath all of that, nearly all my other planets are all fire. Nearly all of them.
Oh, that's why you hate it. Yeah.
And so it's like, yes, you think I'm an earth sign, I'm not. I'm a volcano, and that's what's going on. Volcano on wheels is how Chris typed it.
That's awesome, though. That is the world needs volcanoes.
Yeah, and I think
not actual volcanoes.
Well, I think what it is a little bit what you were saying. I've noticed too is people are afraid to fully embrace their shine and really like step out into the world and really own it. But there's also this kind of like a fear of being unpleasant. Like, you touched on this already, but that fear of being seen as not nice, or seen as being like not womanly sometimes, because it's not womanly to like speak out and be, I don't know, because they say it's aggressive, but to me it's not necessarily. And that quote where they're like that women, they say that women are mad, but actually they're just enraged and they've come fully into their power. I feel like that needs to happen more. Right? Especially now, like, we need more marching, we need more standing up for each other, and we need less of this is really weird thing. And I had to step away from social media this morning alone because people were like judging people with mental illness, telling people they just need to get over it. And I am now writing an article about one phrase that I saw, which was "shut up and put up" is what you should be doing. And I'm now I was so enraged by this. I was like, all right, we're writing an article right now, and I'm halfway through it.
Good.
Because
that's terrifying. That's terrifying opinions, I think. Yeah.
And it's devoid of humanity to me. It's like, forget what spiritual path you're on for a minute. That's like anti-human.
Yeah.
Because yes, on the one hand, if we could constantly use the things that happen to us to excuse not living, then that's something. Although, to be honest, that's our problem and isn't anybody else's to judge.
Yeah.
But there are all these people who are like starting these really aggressive discussions where people feel that they have to justify their mental illness or whatever it is, because it's not just mental illness. There was people going on about all sorts of things in this conversation, but difficulties that people have been through. And rather than try and empower and strengthen other people, there's tearing people down using the worst times of their life to do that.
Wow.
And that's kind of like the atmosphere right now. And I'm like, yeah, we need some empowering ladies on the channel, quick.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if the world is encouraging that with social media more, because I think the world is encouraging disconnection via some false sense of connection and a huge lack of compassion. By bombarded by so much stuff, it's very hard. It's easy to close down, isn't it? And everyone's so hurt. But I found that on my path has been, I've never been allowed to close down, even if you really want to. It's like you get ripped open again and again and again, and it makes our heart open. And what the world needs is a fuckload of compassion and just caring and talking. Are you okay? Rather than, I know better, I can give you, or I can bring you down to make my little ego feel better. Because I was watching a thing yesterday about such a rise of personality disorders because our society is so insane. And I think a lot of that is disconnecting from reality, disconnecting from each other, and disconnecting from true emotional connections. And it can be terrifying to look at our own stuff and to tear our own hearts open, but it is so necessary. We need to, because we need to give time to each other and not tell you get over it. No, people will end up killing themselves with that kind of talk. They'll feel so shamed. They will have no one to talk to. And no, 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 no.
And again, it's the demonization of the emotional state. And you'd think
that's my superpower. I've worked it out. Being high sensitive in emotion is my which it's a lot of our superpowers.
Yeah, you'd think people who are involved in spiritual realms, magicians, witches, however you want to label yourself. I'm really sorry, guys, if you can hear the neighbours right now. This has been an ongoing issue.
I can't hear them.
You can't hear it? Good. Okay, because all I can hear is screaming and swearing.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this has been an ongoing issue. So you'd think that people who are aware of magic, who'd be aware of the magical potential and power that's harnessed in your emotional states. Why are we demonizing and discouraging the emotional state from magic? Isn't that against empowerment? Isn't that against growth?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think emotional states are so unexplored. I think as magic is traditionally very masculine in its domain, as in its high magic is from here, not from here, in like how we've been. And I think actually, like for guys and for everybody, I think emotions have been a little bit put on a shelf for such a long time that they're bubbling up, and I just think I have only just recently realised, because I've been told by people, you're too much, you're too this, you're too that. We've all heard that, haven't we?
Yeah.
Again, to have an emotion that's not what you like, or it's a bit more than you like, and suddenly you're too much, you're this, and it's an easy put down for, you're too much, you're too intense, you're too this. Put those emotions away, put away those fiery biscuits.
No, all the fiery biscuits. That's what we're calling that's what we're calling this interview. All the fiery biscuits.
The fiery biscuits. And more of my friends, it's really funny that people who are non-magical as well as magical friends have hidden how sensitive they are, because they've been a bit ashamed. And now I'm so grateful they're sort of people that's like, oh no, I love you more because you're telling me how this has affected you, and I love you so much more that you've opened up to me about that, because it is a connection. And I love sensitive, open, powerful people, because they will change the world, and they will bring balance back to the world, I hope. I think it's superpower. It's a creative genius, and if we try and hide it because that person might not like us, or we may make a scene. I'm intending to make a scene with all my fiery biscuits, thank you.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting that you talked about that, because I've just, from last night to today, I came off a situation which people may or may not know about, and I'm gonna address it, because I'm not going to be shamed by the guy. But there's a guy that follows me around, and he's unpleasant, to put it mildly, and he keeps accusing me of being a professional victim because I talk about what's happened to me in the past, and because I encourage other people to talk about it, because I refuse to be shamed. And I've said in the past, I feel like a victim mindset is internalizing and never speaking about it, and actually part of the reclaiming of self has actually been talking about it and reaching out to other people who also have been through maybe not the same situation but similar situations. And to me, that's really important, because the more we shovel this stuff down, like, it allows that to carry on in the world for first. It creates a culture of silence. And when there's a culture of silence, people can get away with all sorts of shit, because people don't speak out about it. And so to me, I'm like, well, you like off your rocker if you think I'm for a minute that you're going to shame me into silencing. I won't be ashamed then, I won't be ashamed now, and I'm not going to be ashamed in the future. We need to talk, we need to speak up, we need to again connect with other human beings to say, you deserve better than this.
Absolutely, 150%. And you've empowered so many people and allowed them to know they can speak up. And that, I think it's having any place where people can see you, like with YouTube or whatever. It's a responsibility. You don't have to, but if you can allow other people to feel like they're okay to say it too, it's huge vulnerability from your part to do that, and that's amazing. That's a superpower as well. Vulnerability is another superpower, and I just feel like it's a privilege and it's an honor, and it's almost like, it's kind of your job, isn't it, really, to do that? To say, if you're in a place where you can help other people with it, then if you can, I think you should.
I think, I tend to think of it more like because it's kind of more organic in my head. So it's kind of like one of my duties in my head.
That's the word I meant, not job, but
Yeah. And to me, I mean, he's been coming after Morrigan as well because he thinks he gets a say. But
I say nothing.
We say nothing. We'll leave you to Morrigan. Have fun. But yeah, to me, again, we're living in a society that is encouraging us to stick to the easy subjects and the show and tell and and encouraging people to be small, really.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's because they don't want revolution.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what it is. Like, they know that people are kind of like rising against these controls and conformity that keeps coming up. People have been marching, people have been speaking out, and they're like getting heavier and heavier and heavier on that kind of control. So we need more speaking out.
Yeah.
More weirdness. Get louder. Wait for the dinosaurs to die out.
Yeah, because I think that they do think that whatever subjects, I'm very obviously into animal rights and activism in that way, and they do think that you're just going to shut up after a while, that you're just going to get bored of protesting or bored, and they'll try and make it very complicated for you, so you can't tell what's going on, but just wear you down. So, and it's like, they just hope you're going to shut up, and the key is not to get distracted by something shiny over there, and to keep on with what you're passionate about. And that is your duty. I think I love us all, because we've all got a thing we get passionate about, and we've all got a thing. Mine's animals, my friends is trees and children, there's people got a thing, and we've all got our little thing which we go, this is, again, I am going to fight this is not okay, or this is important. And it's important because all the things we care about are probably being buggered in some way by industry or by the country. So it's important not to be quiet and to keep finding that strength. Actually, I think someone said this to me the other day, that if you keep fighting, you're not going to be terrified. If you stop and hide away from it, that's when you get scared. So I think if you face it and go, this is actually huge, but I'm going to do what I can, you're not, I don't think it's as scary, and you live in a more authentic way than if you're going, it's all too much for me, I'm just going to go over here and just check what Facebook's got on. You get more scared, and it's quite a heavy feeling then.
Absolutely. And it goes part and parcel with what we've been talking about with living like an authentic life anyway, because we were talking about living authentically in terms of creativity and creating the life that you want, but that's also living authentically and standing for what you believe in. And I think they go hand in hand. Because once you really empower yourself to the point where you're like, this is what I'm about, and this is who I am, and this is kind of like my borders and my boundaries, and this is my armor in a way, then you don't back down from the things that are important to you. Like, nobody else gets to tell you that these things are not important.
No.
So there you go.
Yeah, I think it's being of service, isn't it, as well, which is part of the priestess path, or whatever you want to call, whatever anyone calls themselves. It's not just the magic and it's the other side of the coin, that you are going to be of service in some way, whether that's how it is to you. And that's an important part of it as well. And that does create authenticity, rather than, I just meditated for 5 years and I feel fabulous, which is lovely. I'm really glad you do. But it's another side to the coin. And you might meditate for 5 years, then work the other side out. But I think it's going to keep you balanced and stop, maybe bitching other people on social media isn't being of service to anyone, apart from probably a very nasty entity out there. So I just, whatever it is, there's the dirty side is getting your hands dirty, getting involved, and it's not the glamorous side of magic, but it's the side that makes it all very real and connected to the earth and connected to what you're really trying to achieve.
That feeds in really beautifully to everything that I'm talking about right now, which is the idea of dirt and bone. And it's the idea of getting your hands in the dirt with your spirituality, like really getting invested, really getting your hands in. And no one can tell you how to do that. No one can tell you how or what or why is the most authentic part of spirituality to you, or the thing that matters to you. You just kind of have to listen to yourself and allow yourself to kind of be like we were talking in the podcast about the idea of being entitled, and that is you can be entitled to these things that you believe in. And entitled doesn't have to be a negative word, just like service doesn't have to be a negative word.
I like the word service.
Because some people hear service and they're like, oh, that means like being a doormat. And it's no,
I don't. Yeah, I really love the word service, obviously in the right context. Yeah. Yeah, I was clearing up badger poo the other day, and I was like, "This is my service." I was like, literally, like, had dirt and bone. Like, I was literally hands deep in lots of animal poo, clearing it all out while this badger was getting really angry, and I was like loving it. So this is my, I can run a totems course, and I do, and I love it, and I'm talking about all the power. And my service in response to that is helping the animals that are injured, that are wounded, and that means clearing their shit out. So it's a balance, isn't it? It's like, I don't want to go to woo woo land and go, I'm just channeling this, and I feel the animals want me to do this. Like, well, yeah, that's definitely, and that's an important side of it, but also the other side is these are real animals that live on our planet with us, and are possibly in a bit of a mess because of our own activities, and I want to help. And that's not a glamorous particular thing, but it's really whole. That makes magic whole. And I was saying that's so important, to paint the animals, to run courses about them, the spiritual side of it, and then to remove the poop from the cave. The cycle is complete.
We've connected in spirit and poo. We're balanced. We're good. It's really true, though. I think a lot of people forget that sometimes we need to think of ourselves as being the guardians of this planet.
Absolutely.
And that means action. So for me, it was when I was in Cambridge rather than Scotland, but they were trying to bring back fox hunting. And no. I have been against fox hunting since I was very, very small, and I was a very, very activist child when I was about, I still am, but when I was about 6 or 7, I had all these books on environmentalism and protecting the environment. I was a strange 7-year-old.
You're fabulous 7-year-old.
Strange and wonderful in the best ways, but and I got very upset about it because I knew about like the rainforests at age 7, and I didn't know what to do age 7, because what do you do when you're age 7? We called up Blue Peter and we did a huge fundraiser at the school. So
that's so cool. Good old Blue Peter.
But like now you can get into the council, you can speak to people, you can write to your local authorities, you can put pressure on people, which is what we did when we were in Cambridge. You can protest.
You can let them know you're there.
Yeah.
You haven't gone away, you haven't shut up, you aren't beaten down by it, you're still there.
Yeah. There were, when they were doing the female marches in America, they did them in England too. We had them in Cambridge, and I went to the one in Cambridge,
awesome.
And it was really interesting. It's very English, the way English people protest, though. It's very civilized in England. Like you watch sometimes in America, and there are people, screaming and smashing things. And no, everybody's very civilized in England.
We have flasks of tea.
It's like people sharing drinks and having conversations with their placard, and just having conversations and protesting. So it was fun, but there's always an opportunity in my mind. So no matter who you are, what your means are, or there are always excuses not to do things, but there are always opportunities to do them. And with the age of the internet, you can actually use the internet for not bitching on social media, and instead you can find ways to contact authorities, all sorts of things. You can find ways to get involved, and it can be daunting. No shadow of a lie, it can be really daunting to be like, okay, I found a march on the internet. If I go, is it actually going to be there? That kind of thing. But the person that you're going to answer to at the end is you, and you know whether you made the effort. Even if it goes tits up, at least you have put that energy out there, and you make the effort, and then you continue to make the effort. I think that's really important.
I totally agree, and I think as well, like you said, you have a lot of resistance, and that's our own fear of stepping out into the space, isn't it, as well? Like I know of that sometimes, and you have to check on it, like, is this actually viable resistance, or is it just me just trying to stay in this little space, safe, like the part of your brain that's trying to keep you safe, which is an archaic part that doesn't really know what's good for you, but it's trying its best. And it's like, actually this is, but also I think if there's a time, if you're going through really hard stuff, don't beat yourself up if you can't do it. I think you've got to put yourself, I know this time when I just last year just couldn't, like it was just hideaway time, and that's fine. But then when you come out of that, then you recheck in and go, now's the time. So it's like it's just being good to you, making sure you're in the right space. But if you can, and as you say, if you have the means and you're ready, you'll know, and there'll be that little voice, and you'll get stronger and stronger. And you, as you say, it's you answer to. Is that sense of really part of something when you do step up as well, isn't it? It's lovely to feel really connected to other people that care about similar things to you, and that's the antiness of this dislocation we have everybody. It's connection from the heart that we all hear, and it's a very powerful feeling, and that's magic in its own way as well.
Yeah. So we're nearly at time, but I am going to just touch on that quickly, that it is really important as well that if you need a little time there and you need a little like TLC and whatever that looks like. So I actually started writing earlier, and I was like, don't be silent unless silence is what you need right now for the healing.
Yeah.
And it kind of is that kind of vibe, so that if you know what you need when you really take a minute, and if you need to not be involved, then even if you need to not be involved in a public way, there are still private things that you can do in the safety of your own home. So, you know, you don't have to be inactive, but if you need time to heal from whatever, then take it. You know, don't let anybody tell you what's authentic to you in that moment, because that can be authentic too. So
yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
I agree.
So thank you so much for coming and chatting with me today.
I want to talk all day, but yes, absolutely, been lovely. Thank you for having me and my fiery biscuits.
Fiery biscuits is what we're calling this interview. I wonder if I can find pictures of biscuits on fire and just like
I could cook you some, I'm sure.
So this is the most wonderful Laura Daligan. I'm sure you people will know where to find you, but do you want to just tell them quickly in case they don't?
Yes, absolutely. LauraDaligan.com is my website, or LauraDaligan-art.com for art. And just find me on Facebook as well. I'm pretty much the only person with my name spelt like this. So if you put it in, you'll find me. Yeah,
I need to change my name because there are about 8 million Joey Morris.
But only one like
Maurice or something.
Mauricio.
Yeah.
No.
Anyway, so thank you guys for joining me today, and we're talking all about authenticity. There are going to be a few more of these authenticity, empowering, witchy life kind of videos. Some of them are going to be on my channel now because I've decided to split them between here. Some of them will be on Become a Living God, but I felt like we need to cover all bases and make sure we have empowering messages everywhere we can. So thank you so much, and thank you again to Miss Laura Daligan.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll see you next time.